In the beginning there was the IBM PC, and after that the XT, the AT, then clones were everywhere. Compaqs, Dells and the like were taken over. IBM needed a PC to compete, especially in the office world. IBM produced the PS2 and PS1 ranges with plenty of quirks, shall we say, like the MCA or microchannel architecture bus. The PS2 was actually the first out the door, really aimed at business though. But the internet is full of videos about the beautiful PS2 range, so I won't go into detail here. But here's my Model 70 for your viewing pleasure. Then came the cheaper but slightly more standard PS1 range, really aimed at home users. The PS1 was designed to be up and running in minutes. It had DOS4 and Microsoft Works etc. bundled, with the early models booting in seconds from ROM. But it was a bit of a weird beast. Things like the power supply and the monitor, lack of expandability, unless you have the expansion card chassis like I do here, hindered sales. You were stuck with that monitor forever. It was like the iMac of its day. Then there were the PS1 range, obviously did extend out to a lot wider than just this original all-in-one unit. In the early 90s they released the PS Value Point, followed by the IBM PC300 series and the Aptiva range, and even official clones like the wholly owned Amber brand. There's a lot of overlap here to unpick. So if we have a look at this timeline, you can see I've got the dark blue ones are the business machines as such, the purple ones are the aimed at the home market, and the amber is just stuck on the bottom there. But you can see that the original PC, XT, AT, all through the early to mid 80s, and the PS2 took over for a very long time. The Value Point came and went. It was there while the PS2 was around, and then they settled on the IBM PC300 series. And for the home market, you can see the PC Junior was around about a year, wasn't it? It was up and running for sale, and then abandoned. The PS1 came along in 1990, and it was there for a few years before handing over to the Aptiva range for the home market. You can see the Amber there, which was only there for a year or so, a couple of years maybe, in the early 90s. So the PS2 slowly gave away for business use to the PS Value Point and the PC300 series. Now I think that PS Value Point is a horrendous name, but it had a range all the way from 3860s to early Pentiums, as it was around for a good few years from 92 to 95. At least after the PS2 everything was standard in the sense of ISA, local bus and then PCI. We can see from that timeline that IBM basically settled on the PC300 series and the Aptiva ranges until the early 2000s, where they both gave way to the NetVista and ThinkCentre ranges before IBM exited the PC business and handed the reins to Lenovo in 2005. The PC300 series lasted from October 94 through October 2000. They're quite plain business or office desktops, and they also have server variants. And as it was quite a long time frame, a lot happened. So it started in the 486s, went through the Pentium 1s, Pentium 2s, Pentium 3s, and even a PowerPC variant. So here's my two PC330s. I have 486 and a Pentium 1. You can see on the back of these that neither have USB, and they are extremely similar. They both don't have onboard audio either, so I've added in a sound card to both, and both have had their hard drives replaced with a compact flash. Looking inside the 486 DX266, you can see it's got 4 72-pin SIMs and a bit of cache there behind it. Onboard video is a blurry, Cirrus Logic 5430 with 1 meg video. I've got an Aztec audio wave graphic sound card, ISA sound card there, and a bundle of wires. You can see the compact flash adapter. And on the P133 inside, it's got the nice blue heatsink there. This has got an S3, what's that? S3 Trio 64 onboard PCI video, and I've upped the video RAM to 2 meg. You can see the compact flash adapter, and there's a fan at the front there. I've added a Vibra 16 sound card, and this is also for 72-pin SIMs. 2 of them populated there. And now looking at the 300GL, this is a bit of a wider desktop case, very smart looking. But you can see now there are USB ports, it's only 1.1. There's no onboard audio still, so I've had to add a sound card into this one too. Looking inside, I've actually upped the CPU in this. It was a 166, it's now a 200 mmx. It's about the highest I can get working on this. Got Intel VX chipset there. Onboard video is a Cirrus Logic 5446 PCI, and I've upped the RAM to 2 meg. I've added an Orchid New Sound 3D sound card and a Matrox M3D I've been playing with. This one takes 2 SD RAM. It's quite fussy actually on its memory, but I've got 64. Yeah, so here's the 300GL boot-in. It's got a nice IBM splash screen, as all these do. This is pretty similar in performance, almost exactly the same performance as the 330 range. I did a load of CPU swapping around to compare, and basically the slightly modern chipset, so the VX versus the FX Intel chipset, gives a couple of % increase in performance, but nothing really. So yeah, these machines were around for a fair few years, and I'm quite a big fan of them. They're very compatible. This one only had a bit of fussiness over the RAM, but hard drives, video cards, everything, it all just works fine. And for the home users, the Aptiva was the PS1 replacement range. But these were not cheap. These were definitely premium products. Around from September 94 through to early 2000s again. A long time frame. So this also had 486s through the different Pentium generations. And it even played with some AMD CPUs, like my one here, which is an AMD K6 too. Then it was in the early 2000s that beige gave way to black, and the end of the IBM PC making era. Right, let's take a look inside this thing then. Actually, the seal there looks potentially like it's never been opened. It's got a crack, but I'm not sure it's actually fully cut. Let's break that now anyway. Right, let's get you in a bit closer. Right, so we can see we have the only card in here is a PCI fax modem. I've actually got the voice audio cable in, as unusual. We've got 2 64 meg DIMMs there, ANI chipset. See the BIOS down there says copyright Acer Inc. So it must be an Acer motherboard. IBM did do some work with Acer in their later days. We've got up here, so you can just see it in there, a Rage Pro Turbo AGP from ATI, and that has very hard to see, 8 meg of video memory there. There's our socket 7 with the K62450. Not sure what that is, probably a VGA feature connector and something else. She says, I think it says AMC Con. Don't know. Otherwise, nothing special. Floppy drive, hard drive, DVD, and a 70 watt power supply. Really? Not a lot, is it? But there's no AGP slots here, so graphics wise, I'm a bit stuck. So I've got the onboard AGP, but what I was thinking of testing was the PCI Voodoo 3 2000, 16 meg. So let's stick this in. I'll stick a network card in as well and compare the performance. I've just noticed down here, you can just see manufacture date 9903. I'm guessing it's third week of 1999. Let's save the upgrades and the performance testing for a future video. Well, I hope you enjoyed that overview of the IBM PC300 range and then the Aptivas. So what happened after the PS2 and the PS1. And join me for the next video where I'll explore some upgrades and test out some games. Thank you very much for watching.